Part 17. The max level boss is too cruel. Author, Fire Otter. Chapter 161. Chapter 161, Dividing into Gangs. Feng Ling finally escaped from Ye King Han's hands. She couldn't be more obedient, although this kind of obedience is only superficial. For example, "Why are you going?" Ye King Han looked at the girl with a dark face as she touched his car and then turned on the car keys. Don't think he doesn't know she wants to drive away in his car. Hey, let me see if this car drives well. If it goes well, then leave this man here and let Mr. Sun and the others deal with it. After all, this dog man is too difficult to communicate with, and he will get angry if he is not careful. She doesn't have the time to coax him. She is a person with lofty ideals. After all, there will be an esports competition soon. Her grandsons don't know how they are practicing recently. I heard that a very strong team is coming to this esports competition. If everything goes well, they can form a team with that team and become members of the team. The only wet nurse, she had to get a good place for her children. Otherwise, what game would we play? Feng Ling admitted that she is still very motivated when it comes to esports. Ye King Han didn't know what was going on in this girl's little head all day long, but it was definitely not a good thing. He stretched out his hand and rubbed her little head helplessly. "It's getting late today, I'll take you back." "Really?" Feng Ling looked unbelieving. Ye King Han almost took a breath. He now has an urge to kill the spot to see if she still dares to doubt his sincerity. He rarely works as a driver for others, and she actually suspected that he had other agendas. Simply, it should be beaten. Perception that something was wrong with Ye King Han's expression, Feng Ling smiled coquettishly. "Hey, go back now, weren't you joking just now, teacher yet?" Leave. Ye King Han couldn't hear her call him teacher yet. As soon as she called him teacher yet, his heart felt as soft as anything. This girl had completely grasped his weak spot. Feng Ling curled her lips, and then happily got into the car. Someone saw her off, which naturally saved her trouble. "I'll come back to see Ye Feng in a few days." Is Ye Ji really the murderer? Feng Ling had heard the rumors about the Ye family. Not only the Ye family, almost everyone regarded Ye King Han as a disaster star. After all, it was after his parents died. Mysterious deaths continued to occur in the Ye family. And if Ye Ji really did all this, then that man is too scary. Yes, but there is no evidence yet. Ye King Han said yes, so that was correct. Because, God Killer will not make any rash assertions without certain certainty. But Feng Ling was still surprised. If this is the case, then Ye King Han is equivalent to carrying the title of disaster star for more than 10 years. And all of this was brought to him by Ye Ji. How much hatred do they have? Knight to him, may have connections with people within you. Ye King Han frowned, but still told Feng Ling. "Now I am also investigating, and what I can confirm is that someone from the Special Alliance did appear on the night Ye Ji fled. It's just that I'm not sure who it is. There are now factions within the Special United League. Ye King Han is not a member of the group, so he doesn't know much about it. The one who understands all this is Feng Ling." "You mean, Tielian has been in contact with Ye Ji more than 10 years ago? If so, why did they contact Ye Ji? I have met Ye Ji before. He seems to be just an ordinary person without the energy fluctuations of those with special abilities." End of this chapter. The max level boss is too cruel. Author, Fire Otter. Chapter 162. Chapter 162 Recruitment from the Blood Fiend Alliance. It's still unknown. Ye King Han shook his head. He didn't know Ye Ji that well. After all, his mind had been on the Blood Evil Alliance. Instead, he let down his guard against the Ye family. This allowed Ye Ji to live for more than 10 years. Otherwise, he would have dealt with him back then. Now that Ye Ji has brought someone to create a second Ye Jia, he doesn't know what he wants to do. He and Fen Ling didn't know all of this, and they needed to continue to investigate. Fen Ling's expression turned cold. If she guessed correctly, all of this should be Luo Cheng's handiwork. In other words, more than 10 years ago, even before she entered the Special Alliance, Luo Cheng had already had different intentions. Maybe it was even because he joined and became the brains of the alliance that Luo Cheng's plan was delayed again and again until today. She didn't know whether this was a good thing or a bad thing. After all, Luo Cheng was still young back then, and many things were not as careful as he thinks now. If it were back then, maybe Yun Kai and the others would still have the ability to fight Luo Cheng. But now, Yun Kai's ability and health have been damaged due to what happened back then. Many people back then have retired and no longer participate in these disputes. The loss of ability users is the biggest problem they face now. Ye King Han, what do you want to ask for when you tell me this? Fen Ling raised her eyebrows. She didn't believe that this guy was just telling her this because he was fine, and he wasn't telling a story. Ye King Han smiled and said, the brains in the alliance are still smarter. I can't compare to you. Fen Ling's face turned dark. She thought about the time when this guy had arrested her into the Blood Evil League, and she almost wanted to hit him. Fen Ling always did what he said, so he said, Ye King Han, let's have a fight. Ye King Han. Girl, your thinking is a little too out of the box. Join the Blood Evil Alliance, I welcome your advice anytime and anywhere. Let me join the Blood Evil Alliance. Fen Ling raised her lips. Are there any benefits? The advantage is that the entire Blood Evil Alliance can be your back in the future. Whatever you want to do, do it. Ye King Han, this is your Blood Evil Alliance. Fen Ling looked at him and said. Also your Blood Evil ally. Aren't you afraid that I will rebel? This is probably what all people in power fear. But Fen Ling was wrong. Not only was Ye King Han not afraid, she even thought that it would be best for her to rebel, because Fen Ling, I want to give the entire Blood Evil Alliance to you. He looked at the girl in front of him, with a hint of meaningful emotion in his eyes, as a bride price. Fen Ling was shocked by Ye King Han's words. She never thought that Ye King Han would one day give the Blood Evil Alliance as a betrothal gift. What's more, this person is her. Ye King Han, you. Fen Ling looked at him in shock and felt her hand being grabbed. Fen Ling, I think I'm in love with you, so would you like to try it with me? I don't understand what you are talking about, Ye King Han. You should know that we are all walking on the edge of a knife. If you are not careful, you may. Shouldn't this be a better match? Fen Ling. Shameless. It's just that she never thought about spending the rest of her life with a man, whether before or now. It is undeniable that the Blood Evil Alliance has a strong attraction to her, but this is not the reason why she agreed to sell herself to Ye King Han. She shouldn't have any feelings for Ye King Han now, right? End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The max level boss is too cruel. Author, Fire Otter. Chapter 163. Chapter 163. Back to school again. While Fen Ling was hesitating, a hand suddenly pinched her chin, and she was forced to look at the man in front of her. Fen Ling, 3 months, if you haven't fallen in love with me in 3 months, then nothing today happened. Fen Ling feels that sometimes reason is a scary thing, like now. She seemed to have no reason to refuse Ye King Han's request. Something with an expiration date is better than something without an expiration date. What's more, Ye King Han did help her a lot. The big deal is that after 3 months, she and Ye King Han can become ordinary friends again. Then, okay, I'll give you 3 months, but Ye King Han, I may not be able to meet your expectations. She was destined to have no heart since she was born. The master has said that she is just weak and will never get better no matter what. Otherwise, Why would we always get into trouble? It doesn't matter, you just need to take this step, and I will take the remaining 99 steps. You don't have to worry about where and how far I can go. Ye Qinghan looked at Feng Ling and thought to himself, little girl, since I have agreed, it is impossible for me to let you go. Ye Qinghan has not had a woman by his side for so many years. Feng Ling was the first woman to step into his life, and the first woman to make him have such strong emotional fluctuations, so how could he give up? Ye Qinghan has always been someone who does what he says, so if he does it, in 3 months, he will definitely make her fall in love with him. Yun Kai told Feng Ling that the new member of the Special Alliance was named Gong Yudi. He was an orphan who was picked up by Luo Cheng. His life experience is very clean and there are no problems. However, it was so clean that Feng Ling became suspicious. Would a person as cautious as Luo Cheng bring in an orphan? Even if she is brought in, will she be brought in without doing anything and still want her to be at the top? What kind of international joke are you kidding? Feng Ling turned off the computer and looked at the sky. Gong Yudi, who is she? Are you satisfied with this identity? Special Lian, Luo Cheng looked at the transformed Feng Shuang and nodded with satisfaction, as seriously as if he were looking at his own work again. Feng Shuang nodded, thank you. Tisk, here, you only need to listen to me. If anyone else disobeys my orders, you can ignore them. If necessary, kill them to save trouble. I will be behind you in everything. Luo Cheng. Feng Shuang was filled with emotion. After she fell into despair, she never felt this kind of care again. Luo Cheng was the first one. She looked at the man in front of her. Although he hid his whole body in his cloak, and although she had not seen his face clearly for so many days, she believed that such a considerate man must be a particularly handsome brother. Feng Shuang suddenly felt a strange feeling in her heart, but she quickly suppressed it. Then what do I need to do next? When can I let Feng Ling die? Feng Shuang asked eagerly. Luo Cheng shook his head, don't worry, I have prepared everything for you. Next, you only need to follow my command. He snapped his fingers, and then 3 girls appeared at the door. He pointed at the 3 girls and said, next, the 3 of them will enter Lingyang High School with you as your classmates. After entering, you will still be like before. Learn the same. End of this chapter. The max level boss is too cruel. Author, Fire Otter. Chapter 164. Chapter 164 Chiyu. But similarly, you must complete some tasks after all, there is no such thing as a free lunch. Luo Cheng smiled strangely. At this moment, Feng Shuang felt a little creepy for some reason, but she still didn't understand the meaning of Luo Cheng's smile. She also did not see the heartfelt fear of the 3 girls behind. She only knew that she could go back again. As long as she could go back, she could defeat Feng Ling. Since Feng Ling destroyed her, she will never let her go. Okay, I promise you, I will definitely complete the tasks you give me. Good boy, I hope that by then, you can say it as confidently as you do now. However, Luo Cheng glanced at Feng Shuang and smiled. He believed that a girl full of hatred in her heart would always be better than the useless losers behind her. Luo Cheng narrowed his eyes. If you use up those pieces of trash this time, just throw them away. The 3 girls trembled subconsciously, feeling sad in their hearts. However, they could not say or do anything now. From the moment they stepped here and became Luo Cheng's people, their lives no longer belonged to them. They couldn't resist whatever Luo Cheng wanted them to do. If they resisted, then... The 3 girls closed their eyes in despair. But Feng Shuang had no idea about all this and returned to Lingyang High School with the 3 girls. There has recently been a new student in Feng Ling's class, named Chiyu. It is said that he came from another province. He had a serious illness before he came here, and then he took a year off from school before coming here. So Xiaonian specially asked the students in class 9 to treat Qiyu well. Then you will. Teacher, I can just sit over there, cough cough. Qiyu pointed to the empty seat next to Fengling and said without any harm at all. Xiaonian was stunned and nodded, that's okay, then you can sit there. Fengling was playing a game. When he saw a person suddenly appear next to him, he looked up and then continued playing the game with his head down. Qiyu was across the aisle from her. To Fengling, he was just a stranger and not worthy of attention. Qiyu, on the other hand, couldn't help but look at Fengling after sitting down. She always thought that Fengling got high marks in the last exam because she studied hard, but what was she doing? Actually playing games. The scariest thing is that no teacher stopped her. The most outrageous thing is that Ye Qinghan came to class and lowered her voice because Fengling was sleepy while playing games. Where is the class here? This is clearly serving the ancestors. Qiyuki looked very unhappy. No, Qiyu is Feng Shuang. Feng Shuang changed her appearance with the help of Luo Cheng. Now, even if her parents stand in front of her, they can't recognize her. And all of this, the pain she endured is beyond anyone's imagination. And she also gained a lot of things, such as superhuman memory, photographic memory, and super analytical and understanding abilities. She believes that with all this, she will definitely be able to defeat Fengling. She can definitely do it. Feng Shuang clenched her palms tightly. At the moment, Fengling didn't know that Qiyu was Feng Shuang. In her heart, the most important thing now was not the old man's provincial and municipal unified examination, nor was it eating, sleeping, and playing Daodu, but the game. The news just came that if you win the national competition in this esports competition, you can go to the world competition. End of this chapter. The max level boss is too cruel. Author, Fire Otter. Chapter 165. Chapter 165, Second-Rate Goods. Once you enter a world-class competition, if you win, you can get a reward of 1 million yuan. This is a huge temptation for Fengling, because she is poor, very poor, very poor. After logging into the game, the news about Fengling has already exploded. Some people poked at her from morning to night, as if they were afraid that her account would be blocked by the system at some point. Fengling typed a few words while feeling ashamed. Jiyu, I'm back. The next second, the faces of several people's profile pictures lit up. Fengling. She had reasonable doubts that they didn't play the game at all. Dead Man's Box, woohoo, boss, I miss you so much. Shenren's father, boss, do you know what kind of life we lived when you were away? Poor, pitiful, pitiful. Smart Erxiu, boss, I miss you so much. I think about you every day and every second. If you didn't come, we would have no motivation to live. Fortunately, you still remember us. Mama. Have you finally remembered your baby? Fengling. Off. She is only 18, so she is not attacked by this group of idiots. Jiyu, let me give you points. Hunter, Mom, are you ready to butcher that piece of meat again? It's quite innocent to say. But Fengling just wanted to beat him, probably because he was a second-rate guy. So, in the next second, the bad guy was killed by Fengling's skill. The kind without hesitation and without the ability to resist. Jiyu, have you not played games recently? The boss struggled to get up and said, No, Mom, we have been very diligent recently. Jiyu, is this the result of your hard work? 3 greetings are quite spiritual. Several people looked at each other, feeling that they were despised. Fengling, yes, don't doubt it, she just despises it. If you can't even catch one of her moves, how can you compete in the national competition? She was thinking about whether she should take these idiots to play games. If she didn't bring them, she would have to find new ones, which would be quite troublesome. In the end, After weighing the pros and cons, Fen Ling decided to take them with her first, and then change them if they didn't work. After Fen Ling told them his plan, several people were very excited. It seemed that 1 million was within their reach, and they did not realize that their boss disliked them. Fen Ling listened to the excited voices of a few idiots in the voice, and was embarrassed to attack them. With their current level, let alone going abroad, they may not be able to win domestic competitions. However, if you go abroad to win, 2 domestic teams will join forces to represent China. These few. Fen Ling took one look and shook his head. Forget it, it's okay if you don't want it. Jiu, from now on, you have to conduct devil training. As he said that, Fen Ling opened his own voice. Father of God, you still play the warrior, Erxiu, you play the assassin, the box, you the mage, the second rate, you the meat. The first competition is about to begin. I will take you to fight when the time comes. During this period, you must master all the skills you can master. Do you understand? The bastard, I understand. But mom, your voice sounds great. Snapped. The next second, Fen Ling turned off his own voice system and typed one word, get out. The gods looked at each other and said in their hearts, what a fool. No one else is so stupid. No wonder the boss lets him play with meat, maybe because he thinks his IQ is not good enough for other things. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The max level boss is too cruel. Author, Fire Otter. Chapter 166. Chapter 166 Ghost-Faced Rakshasa. Not to mention, this is what Fen Ling thinks. With the idiot's IQ, if you let him play the role of assassin, he probably won't even know how to hide in the grass. If you let him play the role of the mage, he will probably be able to rush directly in front of the meat. He knows how to protect himself and lets him play like a warrior. If he gets excited, his position will be exposed directly. So, apart from meat, he really can't play with anything. It's a pity that he doesn't understand, he is a bastard. He is now complacent and thinks that the boss values him. He is the backbone and has to protect a few other people. Shenren, Heziza, and Erxiu looked at each other. There is nothing wrong in saying that, but it seems that this is not the main meaning of the boss. Forget it, be stupid. If you are happy, just be stupid. The esports competition was 3 days before the school's provincial and municipal unified examinations, so during this time, Fen Ling directly asked for leave from the school. Xiaonian didn't agree very much, but Wang's Haihong agreed immediately. She couldn't say anything. She just felt that a student playing games would not good. She even talked to Fen Ling during the break. Fen Ling, you are only 18 years old and you are about to take the college entrance examination. Although you did well last time, you cannot give up on yourself because of this. The game is only virtual after all, so you should not have any esports dreams. Esports is not the path that ordinary people like them should take. That path is as unreliable as the path to stardom. Xiaonian's concept has always been very old-fashioned, and Fen Ling was unwilling to say anything. He just asked, does teacher Xia know my code name in the game? What? Fen Ling smiled and did not answer. He only said, teacher Xia, never think that your students have only one possibility. Every person has a blank sheet of paper from birth. They decide what to draw on it. Others have no right at all and cannot decide for them. And she will never take only one path. It is also destined to be impossible to take only one path. Teacher Xia, I have something else to do, so I'll leave first. The girl put her headphones in her pocket and walked forward. The sun was setting, and the golden light shone on the girl. She looked inexplicably beautiful and harmonious. Xiaonian pursed her lips and wanted to say something, but in the end she said nothing. Fenling was stubborn and could not listen to others' advice. There was no other way but to let her hit the wall on her own. When she suffers setbacks outside, she will always come back. Xiaonian thought so. At this moment, she did not expect that in the end, she would see Fenling on the internet. At that time, she represented the country and won the championship. Glory Battlefield. Have you heard that the ghost-faced Rakshasa will also participate in this competition? Ghost-faced Rakshasa, he is the legendary ghost-faced Rakshasa who is number 1 on the list of gods. Yeah, I don't know what kind of team he will form this time. As we all know, Ghostface Rakshasa only appeared in the most popular game for just 1 month, and won the first place in the national esports of that game at that time. However, before he could go to the international community, the ghost-faced Rakshasa disappeared, and no one knew where he went. And this time, the ghost-faced Rakshasa not only appeared, but also came to the glory battlefield. Ghost-faced Rakshasa, Fenling looked at the chat history of the world and touched her chin. She knew a little about this ghost-faced Rakshasa, but only because she had never played with it before. Of that game. By the time she wanted to try it out, the game had already been taken off the shelves. End of this chapter. The max level boss is too cruel. Author, Fire Otter. Chapter 167. Chapter 167 International Competition. The only thing she knew about ghost-faced Rakshasa was that he was the most popular person in the international competition 3 years ago, but he failed to participate. Fenling really doesn't know how sure she is if she becomes an opponent with this ghost-faced Rakshasa, because she still doesn't know what this ghost-faced Rakshasa is good at. All the videos related to the ghost-faced Rakshasa have been erased. Not found. It would be fine if he could form a teammate with the ghost-faced Rakshasa, but if it were an opponent, I'm afraid those little brats are no match for the ghost-faced Rakshasa. However, she did not want to use assassins unless absolutely necessary. After all, wet nurses are easier to disguise. Fenling touched her chin and looked at the computer wondering what she was thinking. The 4 people, Shenren and his father, were recently pulled by Fenling to enter all-round training. The 4 people, who had never experienced such systematic training before, were miserable. The Godman's father, boss, I can't do it anymore, I can't do it anymore, my hand will break if I keep practicing. The second-rate boss, boss, let me drink some water, I can't do it anymore. The other 2 were already spread out there, unable to get up. Fenling looked at the 4 people quietly, with no expression on his face, and just let them rest for 10 minutes before continuing. In fact, she could definitely find other teammates, but, Fenling looked at these 4 people. When they asked her to be teammates, they told her that they were abandoned by the esports team, and no esports team wanted them. So they come out and play games on their own. Due to the helplessness of life, a few people are now working and playing games at the same time. The only thing that persists is love. Fenling joined after watching the 4 of them play a game. Talent and hard work, Fenling has always focused on the former. If there is no former, then no matter how hard the latter works, it will not be as good as those who have the former and work harder. In them, she saw talent, but this talent was invisible and had not yet been discovered, so they felt that they were incompetent. However, after taking them to play games over the years, their talents have gradually begun to emerge. Now is the best time to take them to play esports. You guys, do you want to go international? I want to, the man of God answered without thinking. However, he hesitated for a moment and asked, can we just do it? After saying one sentence, several people fell silent. The moment they lowered their heads, they heard a cool female voice above them, okay. If you couldn't do it, I wouldn't have joined you in the first place. I knew we could do it. Dead Man's Box slapped the table and jumped up, boss, you didn't lie to us, did you? I never lie to others, Feng Ling smiled. Then he saw the carnival of four people and the burning in their eyes. She can't make a mistake. The brilliance of these people is no worse than those of official esports players. What they lack is just a game that proves their strength. Okay, let's train. Now, as long as you work hard, I can guarantee that I will take you to the international level. Listen, this sentence is so crazy, but even when it comes out of Feng Ling's mouth, no one will think it, or even take it for granted. They looked at each other excitedly and nodded. Boss, we will do it. Don't worry, boss, this time, let the four of us lead you to win. Isn't it just an international competition? Who is afraid of whom? End of this chapter. The max level boss is too cruel. Author, Fire Otter. Chapter 168. Chapter 168 Sewing Up. Time flies by, and soon the first domestic game is here. This time, all teams will play one-on-one for 2 games. In the end, 32 teams will be left, and the game will continue half a month later. Feng Ling's team is called Red Phoenix Team. While matching, she heard a wailing somewhere and accurately captured 4 words, ghost-faced Rakshasa. Feng Ling looked over and saw a man wearing a ghost mask directly in the crowd. He is in the crowd, even if he doesn't speak, no one will ignore him, because his aura is so strong. As long as he stands there, he is the sign of a ghost-faced Rakshasa. Feng Ling pursed her lips and said, if you haven't been matched with Ghost-Face Rakshasa, wait until the game is over and watch the Ghost-Face Rakshasa video. There are so many teams here, and there are only a few famous ones. There are traces of other teams, but this team led by Ghost-Face Rakshasa, neither the Ghost-Face Rakshasa himself nor the members of his team have been seen. Pass. This team is currently the most mysterious team besides them. The Condors. Here, the idiot leader sighed, and immediately received sympathy from many people. Because, the Condor team is also a star team, and the people in it had a top 10 record. Feng Ling's team is still a rookie team. Obviously, everyone is focused on the Shenyang team winning. Zhang Chenzi also came. He only saw Feng Ling suddenly because before that, he never expected that Feng Ling would come. After all, Feng Ling was just a girl, how could she participate in esports competitions? Especially when he saw the Condor team, Zhang Chenzi frowned. He thought for a while and went straight over. Lingling, what are you doing here? This is not your place to play, go back quickly. Zhang Chenzi, Feng Ling frowned, what are you doing here? I'm asking you. This is an esports competition, not an ordinary house game. Zhang Chenzi felt that Feng Ling was just messing around. Now that Feng Shuangshuang has lost the qualification to become his fiancé, Feng Ling has postponed her appointment as his fiancé. It's just that the engagement hasn't been made yet, but by doing this, Feng Ling is simply embarrassing the Zhang family. Feng Ling smiled, Zhang Chenzi, where am I and what am I doing? Do you know that esports competitions have anything to do with you? Who are you? Who do you think you are? Yes, what are you? Our boss hasn't said anything yet, so what are you talking about? Do you know who our boss is and you're just here to slander our boss? The Zhang family is just a fart, so get out of here. Do you really think that your farts are so fragrant that everyone wants to smell them? A few people also saw that this god, Zhang Chenzi, just couldn't deal with his boss. In this case, there was no need for them to give him a good look. Zhang Chenzi felt that Feng Ling was simply ignorant. He was willing to give her the status of his fiancé. Even if she was not grateful, she was still here to give him a face. Feng Ling, what's going on with you now, hanging out with these shabby people, you? Snapped. A slap that silenced the surroundings. Zhang Chenzi covered his face and stared with big eyes, as if he couldn't believe that Feng Ling would hit him. Zhang Chenzi, who do you think you are, saying that my teammates are no good or bad? What, it's been too long since I taught you how to be a good person, so you can't even speak. You don't want this mouth, I don't mind sewing it up for you. Fenling sneered. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The max level boss is too cruel. Author, Fire Otter. Chapter 169. Chapter 169 Against the Condor. Zhang Chenzi could only stare with anger. That look made Fenling feel ridiculous and disgusting. It is not a good thing for a man to only stare at women when something happens. Young Master Zhang, in the esports circle, it's better to hide your aura of power, otherwise, people will look down on you. Fenling sneered, then turned around. Fenling, you have to know your identity. Zhang Chenzi gritted his teeth. Now you represent the Zhang family, and I won't allow you to go out and hang out with these unscrupulous people. Not only did he fool around, but he even slapped him in front of so many people. It's simply boring. This time, Fenling had to stop because Zhang Chenzi was too beaten. Zhang Chenzi, when did I become a member of your Zhang family again? If something like that happens to Feng Shuang, naturally you can't be with me. As for you, although your temper is very problematic, since you are the only one in the Feng family, I will reluctantly let you be my girlfriend. Don't be too ignorant. Zhang Chenzi frowned. To be honest, if it weren't for the request of his ancestors, he would never have had contact with Feng Shuang and Fenling. It's simply too cheap. Okay. Let me be your girlfriend. Fenling smiled. Zhang Chenzi, do I agree? How could you disagree? Zhang Chenzi never thought about Fenling not agreeing to be his girlfriend. After all, compared to his Zhang family, the Feng family is simply worlds apart, right? Then I tell you clearly, I, Fenling, do not agree. According to contemporary laws and regulations, if one party disagrees, the other party cannot be forced. Otherwise, you are obscene. Fenling said these cold and unusual words with a smile and squinted eyes. Zhang Chen's Hailan was on the spot, but Fenling didn't want to be his girlfriend. How can this be? Just before Zhang Chenzi accepted this fact, Fenling had already turned around and ran away with the four bastards. Not far away, under a ghost mask, a pair of eyes stared at Fenling from beginning to end. The little girl is here too? This is something Ye Qinghan didn't expect. He participated in the esports competition as a ghost-faced Rakshasa because according to the news, there will be alien species mixed into the competition this time. It's just that, judging from the little guy's appearance, it seems that he really just wants to play the game. Ye Qinghan shook his head helplessly. Forget it, he really didn't understand the little guy's thoughts. The child's thoughts were changing every moment, every minute, and he didn't know what she would think of next second. Out. However, if Fenling is here, this esports competition should be interesting. Ye Qinghan's lips under the mask curled up slightly. Soon, it was the day of the game. Fenling learned that Mo Bei, the captain of the Condor team, was famous for being an assassin. In other words, the protagonist of this game was very likely to be this assassin. As for them, they are all newbies who have just been trained. If they want to win, they can only win by surprise. Fenling thought for a while and gave orders directly to a few people. When the game started, he would directly go to the opponent's jungle area to grab the jungle. As for her, Fenling curled her lips and smiled with some evil intentions. Red Phoenix vs Condor, this seems to be a match without any suspense. Almost no one wants to watch this match. They all go to watch other matches in the same field. Only a few people have placed bets and are still waiting here bored with. End of this chapter. The max level boss is too cruel. Author, Fire Otter. Chapter 170. Chapter 170 Auxiliary. At the beginning of the game, the Condor team obviously did not take Chifeng seriously. The entire team's direction was very ordinary and there was almost no battle plan. But they did not see the smile on the lips of the only woman in the Red Phoenix team. There is a saying that is good if you are careless in Jingzhou, I hope you will not regret it. Any game, no matter who the opponent is, should be taken seriously. Otherwise, it is disrespect for the opponent and also disrespect for yourself. Today, let her teach them the consequences of carelessness. At the beginning, Fengling led Erxiu straight into the other camp. I don't know why, but Fengling can always tell where there are enemy people and where there are not. So in the first few minutes, Erxiu and Fengling didn't encounter an enemy person at all. By the time the people there were almost killed in a wild area. When I was about to change a piece, I opened my eyes and there was nothing left. This made Mo Bei angry and funny. He gradually realized that this was an unusual team, but that was just the extent of being extraordinary. As for how special they were, he really didn't think they were that powerful. The next stage: grab monsters. Received, Boss Smart Erxiu's clear voice sounded, and then he went to grab monsters in the opposite jungle area. This made Mo Bei feel bad. In fact, one of them was smart and he could still deal with it. After all, he was the captain of the star team. But there was another assistant who made Mo Bei the most unhappy. He and another assassin were fighting one-on-one until they were fine. She suddenly came out and replenished more than half of his almost depleted health bar. He finally fought again, and again, and again, and again. Mo Bei's mana was gone, and the assistant was still throwing away support with great vigor. Mo Bei was really dumbfounded when he looked at the time of his resurrection. There have been so many assistants throughout the ages, how come he met one he had never encountered before? Is this so reasonable? How ridiculous is this? It's not reasonable at all, okay. Mo Bei rubbed his hair irritably, then resumed his hair. At this moment, his members are slightly better than Mo Bei. In fact, their level will not make such a big noise at this time. However, because of Mo Bei's successive failures, their hearts are also 7. Up and down. If you can do this well, it will not be easy. Change the strategy. Fortunately, Mo Bei was still smart and gave the order directly. They would have to respond to a game like this every time, and as long as she recorded these responses, there would be no problem at all. Good. Obey the captain. Captain, be careful. The Condor team changed their positions instantly, and Mo Bei was accompanied by an assistant. It's just. A few minutes later, the assistant was dumbfounded. What happened? Is the support on the opposite side really free of bugs? Why can it throw auxiliary skills to others so accurately at any time? Why did it run away so fast? Why is she so beautiful? Fengling's character is indeed more attractive. She has a bright red skirt and a long black ponytail. She is very neat. This was given to her by the game company. She is the only one in the world. She is unique. It was so good looking that he wanted to ask her for the name of the shop and the names of things later. The auxiliary is throwing away skills. What are you doing? Just when the assistant was looking happy, a voice came. End of this chapter.